Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in Star Wars Outer Rim, a game that I've been looking forward to playing for a long time as a Star Wars fan, and I've heard great things about the game. I have a few favorite mechanisms. I have a really close choice between two of them, but the one that I'm going to go with is the reputation system. So this is a game where you are flying around the galaxy, trying to complete missions, gathering crew, improving your ship, even buying a new ship. I'll talk about that in a second. And you have a main character who's flying around on the ship. And one of the things that you are doing while you're flying around the galaxy is impacting your reputation with four different factions, essentially. There's the Rebels and the Imperials, of course, but there's also the Syndicate and the Hutts. And on these reputation tracks, I think they're really elegantly implemented in that it isn't a long track, a series of ups and downs, and you can go up to 20 reputation or down to -10. Rather, it's just 3 steps on each track. You either are in a neutral spot, so you have a little slider there to the middle, or you have a positive reputation with them, or you have a negative reputation. And so if early in the game, say I do something good for the Hutts and they like it, I'll move up, I'll slide up here. And then later on, if I do something bad, I won't go all the way down to the bottom. I'll just lose 1 reputation. So I'm still neutral. And so throughout the game, these reputation sliders can change quite a bit. And there's even certain times where you complete missions and they say something like gain 1 Imperial reputation. If you already have positive Imperial reputation, gain a fame instead. Fame are the victory points in this game. So I really, really like the elegance, the streamlined nature of this this reputation system, and I think they picked the right number of factions, 4 different factions to have in there, where you're sometimes pitting them against each other, or at least making decisions for yourself based on what one faction might like or what another faction doesn't like. And in the meantime, you're always keeping track of where that faction's vessel is, because they have ships that are flying around the Outer Rim, potentially catching up with you and attacking you if you have poor reputation with them. So really like that reputation system. A close second, though, is this kind of mission system. I don't exactly know what to call it, but you end up going to different places around the map and on this Outer Rim. And sometimes when you go to a certain place, you have to complete a job, complete a mission, and you don't know exactly what you're getting into. And so, for example, I had a job called the Jewel of Yavin. And I knew on that mission, I don't have the actual mission here, I have the resulting card that you get. But on the mission card, it says things to the effect of these skills might be useful for this mission. So you have a rough idea of what types of skills you might want to have in preparation for the mission, but you don't really know what's going to happen on the mission. But when you get there, when you finally arrive at the destination for this this mission, I think this was on Takodana. When I arrived there and I tried to complete this mission, I was presented with this card. I was told to draw card 45 and read through these step by step. So for example, the first one says, you'll need to find a safe path through the most dangerous part of the city. It says test knowledge. If you fail, your character suffers 1 damage. And then I move on. It doesn't say the mission's over. It just says, I got a little hurt along the way. And the next step, I run afoul of some local criminals. Test tactics. So it's another skill test. If you fail, your character suffers 1 damage unless you lose $3,000. So now I'm still failing forward. This is the theme of this. I'm failing forward, but I'm either suffering a damage or losing $3,000. And so on, all the way down to the bottom. And this was a particularly memorable one for me because I got all the way to the end and I didn't quite complete the last part of the challenge. But I really appreciate that the game tries as hard as possible to let you complete these missions while still having consequences along the way. If I have not prepared well enough, if I'm not going on the right mission that aligns with my character's skill set, there's a greater chance that I'll fail. But I won't fail outright typically. Rather, I will take some damage. I'll lose some money. I'll lose some things that I could have gathered or prepared for in advance of this challenge. So I really appreciate how the game goes out of the way to really help you succeed at these challenges, even when memorably you fail. I failed at the Jewel of Yavin challenge at the last second. So I really appreciate that. One last cool thing about the game that I just think is really neat is that you start out with a basic ship, but then you can also buy a new ship. So there's a whole deck of ship cards, and you can always look at the top card of the deck. In fact, that's one other mechanism I want to mention. But you can buy new ships, and ships come with a goal of their own, another way to get fame and to improve the ship permanently and flip it over and make it permanent in the future. So I like that all players start with a generic, perfectly functional ship, and one of the things you can do is upgrade to another really cool ship and even complete that ship's goal and give that ship a name, basically. This ship goes from a generic ship to the Hound's Tooth, which I think is really cool and thematic. But that reminded me of the last favorite mechanism about this game. There are a lot of different card stacks. I believe there are 6 card stacks in the middle of the table. Whenever you go to a planet, you have the opportunity to gain one of those cards. Some of them have cost, some of them don't have cost. So like for the ships, for example, they have a cost. If I want to buy this ship, if it's the top card of that deck, it costs 15,000 credits. But I really like this mechanism. It reminds me a little bit of the recent Blazon that I played, or Blazon. Before you pick a card, if you want, you can take one of the top cards of the decks. They're all faced up. You can take one of those top cards off, put it on the bottom of the deck, and reveal the new top card of that deck. It doesn't commit you to necessarily taking a card from that deck, but it just gives you a little bit more information. If there's maybe a job that you're looking for, a certain planet, you're looking for a closer planet, you're looking for something that's a little bit more affordable, it gives you a way to refresh one of those cards. So a lot of the information stays the same. You're not ruining this information that other players are relying on, all these other available cards, but you are able to refresh one of them and see a little bit, see one other card before you make your choice. I think that's a really, really clever mechanism in a game like this. So yeah, those are my favorite mechanisms, plural, in Star Wars Outer Rim. As you can tell, I had a lot of fun with my first play of this game, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've played this game, or if any of these mechanisms remind you of another game, let me know about it in the comments below. Thanks.